The following is an independently produced program. The views expressed within are not necessarily the views of WAVS Radio, its staff, or management, but are strictly those of the hosts, guests, and callers.
170.
1170 AM. It's Sunday night in the Caribbean, man. Hubert McIntosh is a member of the Society for Financial Awareness, and he's the man.
Financial literacy provided by Hubert McIntosh.
CPA.
Financial literacy. Control your financial status.
Here's your host, Hubert McIntosh, CPA.
Good evening, good Sunday evening to you. Oh my, it's a beautiful Sunday evening in South Florida, but our heart goes out to the people in Texas. It's not a beautiful Sunday evening there for them. So our condolences to those who have died. We understand a few people have died and there have been lots of damages. So, our best wishes and well wishes out to the people, but they will come through, and I know there will be support and requested and so forth. So if we can participate and help those. But this great country that we live in, it's always seems as whenever we go through anything like this, the people pick it up. So, we know that it will happen, but our hearts goes out to the people as they go through what they are going through right now. Okay? So, thank you for joining us. This is Hubert McIntosh, your CPA, on a Sunday evening. Financial literacy. We are in Sunday school. So you know what you do when you go to school. Make sure you have your pen. Make sure you have your paper. We are going to be sharing some stuff with you. We're going to continue with the theme, talking about the show. What's the purpose of this show? Last week, as you know, we continued to talk about the personal economic model. And we want to thank JP for giving us that plug before he went off. And it was so fitting that the song he played, I said, JP, you couldn't have played a better song for me, because it's a song, Stop That Train, I Want to Get Off. Oh my gosh. And you know who's the writer and the singer of that song, okay? This is Hubert McIntosh. So that was Winston Hubert McIntosh. I don't have to say anymore. I think you can figure that out. You can figure that out. Hubert McIntosh, the song was by Winston Hubert McIntosh. Stop That Train. Oh my. So why am I saying the song is so fitting? Remember what we are talking about. We are talking about planning. And we said that one of our theme story that we use is the train. Life is like a train journey, where our parents buy our tickets, we get on that train, but we don't know where our stop is. So like Peter was just singing, stop that train, I want to get off. Folks, unfortunately, this train that we are on, you can't just stop it. You cannot just stop it. You'll have to roll with the punches. You'll have to roll with the good. We have to roll with the bad. And the relationships that you develop on this train journey is how better your life will be. So we're hoping that we can come alongside you and we can participate with you and we can help you with that planning. We're in the studio, 954-792-1170. 954-792-1170. It's Hubert McIntosh, your CPA, a member of SOFA. SOFA, the Society for Financial Awareness, with one mission: to eradicate financial illiteracy in America, one community at a time. And I've joined with SOFA to do that in this community. So thank you again for joining us. Thank you. Thank for all our regular listeners. Thank you for the new listeners. Last week, we stirred up something as we were talking about the planning. We had a couple of callers. They called in to share some insights and some questions and making comments, because we were talking about financial planning, developing that personal economic model, whereas we look at our current lifestyle and we look at our future lifestyle. And as much as we talk about the planning, we do know, we are cognitive of the fact that sometimes there are challenges with that planning. So what we spoke about last week, and it prompted a few comments from a couple of listeners that called in, we were talking about the baby boomer generation. The baby boomer generation is that generation where from 1946 to 64, people who were born during that time is considered the baby boomers. So what happened if you go back and you do the calculation on that? If you take 1946 and if we use 65, or say we even use 70, then let's use 70, because 70 is where the maximum that someone can get for Social Security. If you wait to take it until 70, that's when you can get the maximum. After 70 years old with Social Security, you're not gonna get more. Your base will be fixed, and what you will get cost of living adjustment. So let's use 70 as that benchmark. So if we use 70 as that benchmark, the first set of baby boomers reached that age last year. Yeah, reached that age last year. So if we take 2016 last year, 70. So last year was the first year for the baby boomer generation to reach that maximum amount that they can get. Remember now, it's they can get. It's not the maximum amount that Social Security pays out. Because the maximum amount of money that Social Security pays out is based on the earnings. Yeah, it's based on the earnings. And even that is a little bit confusing because people are not even sure how that number is calculated. But what it is that the government take your highest 35 years, your highest 35 years of income, and then there is a matrix, there's a calculation there, and what they do, they take that and they average it, and that's how the formula is calculated so that you know your amount for Social Security. So why are we talking about this? Because last year was the first year for baby boomers to reach that age. So here's the challenging part. The challenging part is that some people reached that age last year, right? They reached that age last year, and the only retirement plan that they have is a Social Security. Yeah, it's a Social Security. So let's do a little math then. Let's work out with a little math. The average, the maximum that Social Security pays is probably around about $3,000. $3,000 maximum. That means the person who used to make $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year, it does not matter because it has a cap. It has a cap. So if you are at the cap, you are not gonna get any more for Social Security. So take that person now. Let's work with me now. Take that person, and for easy calculation, they used to make $100,000, right? they make 100,000. Yes, we know that's higher than the average salary, but just humor me. Just follow with the program what I'm saying. So they used to make $100,000, right? But they were living their current lifestyle. Yeah. They didn't plan for their future lifestyle. So they were living for that instant gratification during that current lifestyle. So here it comes now, retirement at age 70 now. They didn't save anything because what they said. Here's the thing that sometimes we can make mistakes. If the person did not know or seek that knowledge, they are thinking that because I make $100,000, my social security is gonna be somewhat equivalent to what I made. That's the biggest myth out there. But you're saying to me that, oh, Hubert, people don't believe that? Let me tell you, this is what we do every day. There's so many people, when that time comes, they're so shocked because take that person developed a lifestyle of making 100,000. You based on what you make, you're gonna develop a certain lifestyle. So what happens now? They get to that time now, and their social security is $3,000 a month. $3,000 a month. So let's calculate that. $3,000 a month times 12 months. That's $36,000. Do you guys get what I'm saying? This person used to make $100,000. Now they're getting social security for $36,000. That means they have to decrease their lifestyle by 64%. How many people do you know can reduce their lifestyle by 64%? But you see what happened? This person didn't plan because they got caught up in a myth. They didn't believe in that the future will happen. They didn't believe it. So it happens now, and now they're saying somebody told them. Somebody told them. And I know some of you right now are hearing the same story. Somebody told them that when they get older, their lifestyle is going to be less expensive, so they're not going to need as much money. Yeah, I'm looking at you. Some of you have heard that. You've heard that. Somebody told you that story. Oh, you're not going to need as much money when you retire. You're not going to need. But are you prepared to decrease your lifestyle by 64%? So here's the thing now. We have two sets of people, right? We're talking about the baby boomers. We're talking about the person that didn't plan, right? That's the one we just talked about. But here's another one. There are baby boomers who wanted to plan, but they couldn't plan. And you're like, but Hubert, why they couldn't? Life happens. So what we left you with last week, we broke it down. Take that baby boomer. The baby boomer generation is considered the sandwich generation. And why is it sandwich? It's the first generation. It's the first generation in this country. First generation. And you can go back, you can check it. Google it. Check me out. It's the first generation in America that had to take care of their parents and their children. It's the first generation. And you're like, but Hubert, why? Why is that so? Let's do the math. Remember, we are using the example. They're 70. So imagine when they were 65 or even 60. If someone is 60, let's use 60 now for the calculation, because you may say, Hubert, you've gone too far with 70. Let's use 60 for the calculation. All right, let's average. What's the average age mom would be or dad for a 60-year-old? Let's use a benchmark of 20. Mom or dad would be 80 years old. Would be 80 years old. And that same 60-year-old now has children. So why I said to you it's the first generation in America that had to take care of their parents. Remember I said to you, Baby Juma started in 1946. Folks, go back and check. 1946, people were not living till 80 years old. Maybe once, it's a sprinkle of people would have lived to 80 years old. People were not living till 80 years old. But now, right now, it's a common thing. 80-year-old walking around like teenagers. And some of them even look like teenagers. I'm telling you, you have some good-looking 80 years old. You cannot tell them. And I'm even blessed. To have, I have a couple of them in my family. Even my mother-in-law. Let me tell you, even my mother-in-law now is 82 years old. Walking strong. We on cruises. She goes on cruises. She walking strong. So that's what I'm trying to tell you now. So 1946, 1950, people were not living that long. So here's the challenge for the sandwich generation now. So you have the baby boomer who have to take care of their parents because, remember again, people were not living until 80 years old. So people were not planning. People were not planning to live 80 years old. People were not planning to live 90 years old. But what has happened? Medical science has increased so much that people, the oldest person right now, 3 months ago, was this Jamaican lady. This lady is 117 years old. 117 years old. All the lady does, she walks with a little cane. She uses a cane to help her balance. Just to help her balance. She gets up out of bed. She gets up by herself. She puts her feet on the ground. And she has her little cane just to help her balance. This lady has 6 children. And the lady says she's healthier than all of her children. She's healthier than all of her children. So what am I saying? I hope you get the point where I'm coming from now, where I'm saying this is the challenge with the baby boomers. They wanted to plan, but look what happens to some of them. I'm not saying all of them. Some of them just didn't plan. I'm talking about the ones who couldn't. Because if mom or dad gets sick, so that those funds that they were keeping or hoping that they would be able to put towards their retirement, now they're going to help their parents. And then now, so if you use that 60-year-old helping their parents who are in their 80s, and guess what now? So take that same 60-year-old as a 40-year-old. So see, we're just using 20 as a calculation. So that 60-year-old as a 40-year-old. But that 40-year-old is not shooting too good financially. What do you think mom or dad are going to do? What are you going to do with your child? It's still your child. Whether the child is 40 years old or not, are you just going to leave your child? You're not going to leave your child. You're still going to help a child. But guess what? What makes it worse now? So take that 40-year-old now, has a couple children in their 20s. You guys see where I'm going with this? They have 2 children now in their 20s. They have 2 children in their 20s. You think I'm going to stop there? I'm not going to stop there. So take the 2 children now in their 20s. Each of those 2 children have 2 children of their own. Did you guys just calculate how much generation, 80 years old, 60-year-old, 40-year-old, 24-year-old, and 2 children of each, and you have 4. Folks, that's 5 generations I just pointed out to you. 5 generations. This is what's happening. This is real life story. This is not fairy tale I'm sharing with you. So this is what we started sharing last week, and it got interesting, a couple of callers. So we're still in the studio talking about it because we are gonna help you develop a plan. So we're in the studio, 954-792-1170, 954-792-1170. Call us. Share your comments with us. Share your questions. Correct me also if I spoke out of turn or I spoke incorrectly. Please call. Please call and clear up. Let's clear up any confusion out there. Anything that I confused any of you with. So this is what's happening. You have a lot of baby boomers who are dealing with 5 generations, including themselves. So let's look at this now. So here it is. This person who is a baby boomer. Remember, they were just thinking it's gonna be them alone. Do you see what's happening? So say even that person who is 60 years old, and they managed, oh my gosh, they managed to save, right? They managed to save, and they save well. So this person gets now to their 60s thinking, well, oh my gosh, I have $250,000 or I have $500,000. You know, my retirement is going to be good. Under normal circumstances, a person reaches 60 or 65 with $500,000, you would say that person is going to have a very good retirement. But what are we talking about? Life. Life happens. Do you know what happened to $500,000 when sickness hits? Do you know how quickly? You know, I talk about life insurance, and I see people have insurance for $100,000, and they would tell me that they have a lot of insurance. But let me tell you something. For the person who has insurance, life insurance for $100,000, because remember we spoke about this. Life insurance, we're talking about the new type of life insurance. Remember I said to you, if you have the old type of life insurance, you need an upgrade. Because life insurance now has something called living benefits. Living benefits. And one of the most beautiful thing with living benefits, if you can say it's beautiful, if that person has that insurance and they have any kind of ailments, you know, chronic ailments, any serious ailment, I'm not talking a regular flu or a cough, and they have any regular ailments, any ailments that can be catastrophic or not necessarily even death, but serious illness. Do you know that with the living benefits, that person can accelerate up to 90% of the death benefit? Yeah, they can accelerate up to 90% of the death benefit. So since you took out your paper and your pen, let's do some calculation. So if that person has life insurance for $100,000, which has the living benefits attached to it, if they're gonna access those funds, what's 90% of 100,000? 90% is 90,000. Imagine now if that same person had $1 million policy, that's 900,000. And I know some of you hear me say, $1 million policy. Hubert, are you crazy? $1 million policy? Folks, let me tell you, $1 million policy is not as expensive as most of you may be thinking. But here's the challenge. If you wait until you're 60, of course it's going to be very expensive because you waited until you're 60. You waited until you're 50. Come on. Do you expect it to be the same as the person who's 30 years old? Come on, let's get real. So when I say $1 million policy, I'm not talking about $1 million policy where a person 60 years old gonna say, oh, I'm gonna get $1 million policy. No, 60-year-old can get $1 million policy, but it's gonna be very expensive. Because why? Remember, when you get to 60, if you are a male, the insurance company is gonna say you're gonna die in 21 years. Because that's the average, the actuarial table. And if you're a female, they're going to say you're going to die in 28 years. So what happened? The female policy at age 60 will be less expensive. Will be less expensive than the male. But that's not the topic. So I divert a little bit but I wanted to talk to you about, remember I said to you, if that person had $500,000, if that baby boomer had $500,000 and sickness, let me tell you, oh my gosh, I can tell you some stories. I can tell you some stories about sickness. Yes, sickness where that person is in bed. They're in bed. And you want to know the scary part? That person is in bed and they're wishing that they would die. Have you guys experienced that? That person is so sick in bed and they're wishing that they would die. Let me tell you something. That's a sad day. That is a sad day. But you think it's unusual? This is so common. This is so common right now. So common. This is so common. It's unbelievable. Yes. 2017. August 2017. Yeah. Very common. So we are in the studio. 954-792-1170. 954-792-1170. We're getting ready to, I tell you, Sunday nights 9 to 10 is the fastest hour of the week. I don't know. I get into the studio and I sit down and here it is. I am just giving you a summary from last week and half the show is gone. Half the show is gone and you have not called yet. So get ready to call when we come back. The phone number 954-792-1170, 954-792-1170. And in the meantime, you can also visit us on the web, financialliteracy.info. Financialliteracy.info. Go on there. Go into Facebook, link to Facebook, and tell your friends on Facebook that they still got 30 minutes. They still got 30 minutes to get some financial wisdom. So tweet it out, tweet them, let them know, link them on Facebook, tell them, come on over to WAVS 1170 or go over to financialliteracy.info. Go into the App Store. We still got half to go, so they're gonna get some stuff. So don't keep us a secret, okay? All right, thank you. Hold the line, hold that dial. We will be right back. Welcome back. I hope you guys are sharing us on Facebook, financialliteracy.info. Go to the website, click on the Facebook page, share with your friends. Oh my gosh, share with your friends. Tell them we still got half an hour to go. And oh my gosh, it's the sweeter part of it because we're going to go directly now into some planning strategies, right? So remember, I hope what I've shared with you have impacted you enough. I'm not trying to do a scare tactics. I'm just sharing with you guys what's going on. So remember, this is Hubert McIntosh, your CPA, a member of SOFA. Remember the reason why I joined SOFA. SOFA is a Society for Financial Awareness with one goal: to help eradicate financial illiteracy in America, one community at a time. I have joined with SOFA to help this community. So all those statistics I'm sharing, I don't want you guys to be a part of that statistics. So that's why we have come alongside you, where we can help you with your planning. Unfortunately, the sad part of it is, and it's hard to say this sometimes, we cannot help some of you because you took too long. We cannot help some of you because you took too long. But here's the but. Just because you may not be able to help yourself, every one of us has loved ones. We have loved ones, whether it's children, whether it's siblings, whether it's nieces, nephews, neighbors. We all have loved ones. So one of the greatest things that you can do is that you can share. And I know sometimes it's hard. You know, I'm cognitive of that. Sometimes it's hard to share the mistakes that you have made. Sometimes it's hard because sometimes as humans, we want to pretend. Yeah, we want to pretend. We want to pretend that everything is okay. That's just a humanistic behavior. It's not a knock against you. It's not a beat up. But so we have to work against that tendency, because it is where sometimes we may not want to share something because we feel embarrassed. But let's break it down the other way. So you feel embarrassed because you did not make certain plans. All right, that already happened. You did not. But you have children, you have nieces, you have nephews. You have these people in your life. So which is worse? Which is worse or which is better? That you're going to stay there feeling embarrassed, or you're going to share with them so that they don't make some of the same mistakes? I think you'd want the latter. But sometimes we have to work hard at that, because the flesh takes over and our pride does not allow us sometimes to make those confessions or those admissions, because we pretend and we want people to believe that everything is okay. So let's talk about the planning. Remember, we spoke about what we're trying to help you with this program. We're trying to help you develop a personal economic model. And the personal economic model, as it says, it's personal. Each person model is going to be different from the next person. It's personal. So what happened is that each person can have a customizable model. It can be customized to you. So if you're working with a financial planner and this discussion is not taking place, you're probably working with a wrong financial planner. If you're even working with a tax professional, your CPA or whatever, and these discussions are not happening, I think you need different professionals in your life. Because these discussions should be happening every day. Not necessarily every day, but it should be frequent enough that it's on the top of your radar. So what happens as you develop your personal economic model? First, you have to take your income. You have to take your current income. Yeah, you have to be realistic. Come on, this is yourself you're talking to. You can't lie to yourself. Yeah, you may tell me a different number, but you're starting with yourself. So you're telling yourself, self, this is what I make. So you put a number. Self, this is what I make. 40,000, 50,000, whatever the number is, it's your number. Don't get caught up trying to follow the Joneses where you're saying the Jones number is this and so on. So that's not your number. So lose your number. You go self. I remember in Jamaica you're learning to count and you want to count 1 to 3. You touch yourself and you say self and that is 1. And then you use your finger and say 2, 3, 4. Come on, you're acting as if you guys didn't do that. Was that only me? I touch myself, I say self, that's 1, and then you use your finger. All right. So you say to self, this is my income. All right, let's use a base. Let's use an easy calculation. Self, my income is 50,000. All right. And you take your age. Whatever your number is. So let's take 51. And I'm going to tell you why I'm going to take 51. So let's say you are 51 and you say, self, I make 50,000. You pat yourself on the chest. You're not bragging. Come on. You're not bragging. You're just helping yourself count, okay? I make 51,000. I make 50,000. I'm at 51. If you're a male, then you use an estimation. If you're a male, you say, I have 30 years to live. So you're 51. You say you have 30 years to live because that's the actuarial table. You get it? That's why I use 51 so that it can be easily calculated. As a male, you have 30 years to live. If you're female now, in your same 51, you say you add and you say it's 88. You use 88. So you take the 88 minus the 51, you have 37 years to live. All right. So say, let's make an assumption. We know that you're not gonna live, you're not gonna work till you die. But let's make an assumption, okay? Let's just humor me. Let's do it for the calculation. So you're going to say, well, if I work 30 more years at 51, then if I'm making 50,000, if I don't get any increase, then I take that 50,000 times 30, and your lifetime, the rest of your lifetime income now is 1.5 million. 1.5 million. If you're going to use 30 years, that's your lifetime. That's what's left. You can't count what happened already. You're going to start the journey from today. Going back and says, if I coulda, shoulda, that's not going to help us today. We're not doing that. We're not going back there. We're moving forward, right? We're moving forward. So that's the calculation you're going to do. So you're going to say, well, the men now. I'm using the men because it's an easy calculation, 30 years. So you're making 50,000. And you say, well, for the next 30 years, if I continue to make 50,000, I will make $1.5 million. That's in income. So that's your lifetime earning potential, your earnings now. But remember now, I introduce you to a term called lifetime capital potential. Lifetime capital is your earnings plus or minus losses. Yeah. So the question is plus or minus. Here's the challenge. That is that challenge now. Because now you're going to calculate, oh my gosh, I can invest some of my money. But in determining this customized, we're in the studio. 954-792-1170. 954-792-1170. We're still here for you. You can call, make comments, correct me. Correct me if anything that I may have said out of line. Call and make your comments. Share with us your feedback. So you take that 1.5 million. And here it is. You never know that you could have possibly earned 1.5 million. But listen, you see, when you put things on paper, it's a different story. So in the next 30 years, you're going to make 1.5 million, all being equal. So you have an option with that 1.5 million now. Are you just going to live for your current lifestyle? Or you're going to take a portion of that 50,000 and you're going to say, okay, am I going to take 10% and put 10% towards my future? So if you take 10% and to say put towards your future, then what you're saying is that for each year, you have the ability or the opportunity, I should say, not necessarily ability. You have the opportunity to invest $5,000 per year. Yeah. But it's a sacrifice. Of course it's a sacrifice because you're going to take 10%. So you're making 50,000. You don't have 50,000 anymore because you're taking 10% and put towards your future lifestyle. And then that 5,000 out. So say you make that decision that you now have 5,000, you're going to invest it. Here's the next question. Where do you invest it? Where do you invest it? I met with a doctor this week and we were having this discussion. And he's like, he has some student loan and his interest rate on it is 4.84%. And he says, he has, I am scared to tell you how much debt he has. He has $500,000 debt in student loan. $500,000 debt. But don't feel sorry for the doctor, does okay? Don't feel sorry. He had $500,000 in debt, but he makes pretty good money. So his target is that, and because he invested that way, because that student loan was investment so that he gets his education. And, he's a doctor and he's making good money now. So what happened was he said, well, I'm just going to take most of my money and pay off my student debt because there are no investments that he can get that will be higher than the 4.84. So instead of investing his money, what he's planning to do, whatever money he makes and whatever excess money he has, he's going to focus on paying off that student debt. Where normally that's a good plan. And he says, well, there's no investment because mutual funds this and mutual. I says, Doc, stop a minute. Doc. I stopped him. He's there. I stopped him. I says, Doc, you can't talk about mutual funds and 401k. You make too much money. So I asked him a question, and these are the stuff that we help you develop. I asked him, I says, Doc, is your income common or uncommon? Common or uncommon? He says, no, my income is uncommon. So I said, Doc, if your income is uncommon, how are you going to talk about common strategies? Do you see why I say it has to be a personal economic model? That doctor cannot do the same thing that the person who makes $50,000 is going to do. Because let's face it, the highest he could put in a 401k is $18,000. $18,000, right? This doctor makes over $300,000. You take $18,000 as a deduction from $300,000. What does it do? It doesn't do anything. But you're going to say then, but Hubert, that's the highest for 401k. Yes, that's the highest for common income. Yes, you have common and you have uncommon. So the person with uncommon income cannot use the strategies for common income. And that is where I'm talking to you about when I say developing a personal economic model. Because the person who is making $300,000 cannot use the same strategies that the person who is making $50,000. And you may say, well, but there are no other strategies. Really? Have you guys been watching the news? Every time there is a political campaign going on, what's one of the number one people arguing about? Who's not paying enough taxes? Do you guys remember these things? We don't have to go into the detail, but it's the number one argument where one person is saying to the other, who's not paying enough taxes, who's paying 13%, who's paying 14%. And you may say, but the person is not. Let me ask you this question. That person who is paying 13% or 15%, do you really think it's because they're doing something illegal? Is that what you believe? So tell me this now. If you're running for political office and you're doing something illegal in only paying 15% in taxes, why wouldn't your opponent call you out and find the illegalities? Do you see what I'm saying? So we're not going to go down that rabbit trail, but I'm just telling you they're common and they're uncommon stuff. So when you know, so go back to the $50,000 person. He or she decides that he's going to save 10%, $5,000. That's that person's economic model. You cannot focus because I mentioned to you that about a doctor that makes 300,000. That's that doctor's business. We have to develop something for you. If yours is 50,000, it's 50,000. If yours is 100, it is. If yours is 20,000, that's what it is. So we have to we help you develop your personal economic model. And what happens there now is that you try to find out. Don't just follow people. Don't just follow the news that, oh, everybody's putting this in this, so I'm going to put my 5,000 in this because this is better, blah, 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 blah. And you hear those blah, blah, blah. So it is important. 5,000 is a lot of money. You don't just put your 5,000 because somebody say this may be better. Investigate. There are many good financial professionals out there. You know, you have us complimentary. You have us complimentary. You can use us. But it's important that you find people who can help you. Don't try to do this alone. Try, you know. So after you identify now where someone comes and they tell you, all right, oh, John, Mary, we can get you 7 or 8%. So when someone tell you a percentage, anybody that tells you a percentage that they can help you with your investment, the very first question, I want you guys to write this down. The very first question you ask that person is, how risky or safe is it? How risky or safe is it? And then you follow from their answers. Don't let somebody throw something and tell you that, oh, everything in life is risky. Listen, that's a cop-out answer. If someone tells you that, they're copping out and they're trying to pull wool over your eyes. A financial professional should be able to tell you on a risk scale what that 8% is, or 9 or 10%, whatever the percentage, they should be able to tell you. Okay? So after you determine that now, when they give you that answer, if it's a good answer, then you're going to have to decide now, okay, if I'm going to do 5,000, how much do I want to put in my risk bucket? And how much do I want to put in my safe bucket? Because I don't want you going to put everything in the risk bucket. You go and you put everything in the risk bucket, then your 5,000 is gone, and then you're going to call the radio station and you're going to say, Hubert, you told me to invest the 5,000. I said, yeah, but I told you to investigate. So you're going to determine risk or safe. And then after that is determined now, remember you are now taking that money from your income. So in the last few minutes that we have, remember, we're still in the studio. We can still take a couple of calls if you want to. 954-792-1170, 954-792-1170. But visit us. Visit us on the web. Visit us on the web, financialliteracy.info. There's still 5 minutes. I still gonna drop. I still have good content for you, even though it's 5 minutes. Yes. So financialliteracy.info. Go to the website. Look at the Facebook page. Look at the Facebook page. Link us to Facebook. Still share with your friends. All right. All right. Let me give you content now. We got 4 or 5 minutes. So what happens now? After you have done the income part and you decide to save 10%, there are some things that you need to be aware of. There are 5 areas of major wealth transfers. 5 areas of major wealth transfers. And I'm going to introduce you to them. At a later time, I may be able to get into the details. Some of them I've probably shared with you already. But the 5 areas of major wealth transfers are, the number 1 is mortgages. Mortgages. The way our people are funding mortgages, they're leaving a lot of money on the table. That's the number 1. Number 2, taxes. The way our people are paying taxes, they are leaving money on the table. They're giving away money. They're giving away too much money to the government. I am not advocating that you don't pay taxes. That's not what I said. So please don't call the IRS on me and says Hubert says not to pay taxes. No, we're going to go by the formula from Judge Learned And. You can look it up. Judge Learned And from the Supreme Court in 1930. Judge Learned And. You remember what 1930 in America was? It was the Great Depression. Judge Learned And from the Supreme Court says it's the right of every United States citizen or resident to pay the lowest tax legally and ethically possible. It's the right. It's your right to pay the lowest taxes legally. So don't let people try to guilt you. I'm not telling you about tax evasion. No. But there are tax avoidance, and some of you are doing things and you're not avoiding the taxes. You're paying too much taxes. The third one. So 1 is mortgages. 2, taxes. Number 3, qualified plans. So what's qualified plans? Qualified plans are 401ks, IRAs, and stuff like that. A lot of you are participating in qualified plans and you don't understand what you are doing. I am not saying it derogatory. I am just letting you know you are ignorant, because a lot of you are doing it. I hear people telling me, well, I put it in this because I am going to save taxes. That's the biggest lie. That's the biggest myth. You don't save taxes with qualified plans. If someone tells you you save taxes, they are lying to you. You don't save taxes. You postpone the taxes. You defer the taxes. You defer it. If you prefer the word defer, you prefer the word postpone. But here is the problem now. You're not just postponing the taxes. You're postponing the tax calculation. Because if you're in a 20% tax bracket when you defer that money or postpone that money, if the tax rate goes up to 30%, the government is not going to say, well, when you owe the taxes, you owe 20%. No, you're going to be charged at the tax rate at that time. Okay? So number 3, qualified plans. Number 4, college planning. Oh my God, so many people are making college planning mistakes. And I'm going to give a plug. I'll talk about it more. I'm doing a college planning workshop at September 26th at 6:30 at Kaiser University in West Palm Beach. September 26th, 6:30 p.m., Kaiser University, college planning. We'll talk more about that, but I want to introduce that since we talk about college planning. The last one, number 5, is major expenses. How you buying your houses, how you're funding different things, how you buying your car, you're making a lot of mistakes. So remember now, visit us on the website, financialliteracy.info. Go to Facebook, make comments, send us your question. I just want to thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being a continued listener. And oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you. So have a good one. This is Hubert McIntosh, your CPA and a member of SOFA, the Society of Financial Awareness, making it and bringing it to you that we're going to eradicate financial illiteracy in this community. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Looking to make your business or service more financially literate? Contact us and we can make it happen. Advertise on our weekly program to be showcased to potential clients all over Jamaica and South Florida. Call us at 754-366-7311 and we can help you and your business or service grow. 754-366-7311. 754-366-7311.
Financial literacy with Hubert McIntosh on Waves 1170 has come to an end.